It's usual here. I'm gonna start off with saying thanks to, rather, saying thanks to those who shouted me out. I didn't ask them to. They did it. Like Ravenclaw, what if he did it, even though I didn't ask him to? I think Marshal mentioned it to Ravenclaw, which was Marshal's own idea to do. But still, I want to thank Ravenclaw for the shout out. Marshal, I would thank him as well. New God did it just because he wanted to, I think. I respect to him. Then we got Isawa. Fuck's sake, Isawa. Really? Like, I'm thankful for the shout out, but did you have to fucking set a sub goal, like reach 200? Get like, if I reach 200 subs in one day, he would do 3 new what ifs or 4. That would technically also mean I would have to help him with those 3 or 4 what ifs in one day. Because I would now consider me, and he would consider me as his right hand man when doing what ifs now. Because I now help him with almost every what if. Rather accidentally once. So, I like to say to Isawa, if you're listening to this, which you probably are, fuck you. But I still enjoy helping you in your what ifs. So, I was previous today actually talking with Marshal, and after he watched my videos, he said I should probably rename this what if to what if Deku was a master of tacticians, because he isn't quite a villain. He's more like a necessary evil because he does it to fix the hero society. So he still can see himself as a hero. So he thought, why not go with what if Deku was a master of tacticians? We're gonna continue where we left off with Deku following this hero. I'm gonna mention that key detail. Deku actually has a quirk, but it's quite well hidden. They haven't realized it, which is why Deku still thinks he's quirkless. But his quirk is actually linked to intelligence. He learns faster. He's a lot smarter than others around him. His quirk gets somewhat boosted the more he reads and writes and studies, and he is literally studying a lot. Now, in these 5 months, he's been studying a lot on heroes, and also sometimes writing down about villains that the hero he's followed has encountered. As a start, this is only a start, but he sees that it's also necessary to focus on the villains, to get the villains' quirks down, so he knows how to assess the situation and what he has to do when encountering these villains or future villains. So he realizes he has to also look up the villains and see what their quirks are and observe them. And because of this hidden quirk, he doesn't, as I mentioned, he hasn't realized yet. He gets to the point after these 10 months of training and after even these 5 months after tailing the zero and watching the quirks, he has somewhat, it hasn't been perfected yet, but he's gained the abilities to somewhat guess, just based off the looks, what kind of quirk the hero or villain has, or what quirk a person has. And he writes down, and he sometimes asks people that he tests out this skill of some sort on skill of his and knowledge. And he sometimes gets it right, and when he gets it right, he writes down success. When it's wrong, he then corrects itself and readjusts how he uses the skill, the information that he's thought up on with the futures and correcting these small mistakes. Also, during these 5 months, while in the free spare time, while he isn't training or gathering information, he is training, especially in guns. training guns, aiming and stuff. And he actually prefers long range, so sniper rifle. But he realizes very quickly that he would also need close combat, like CQC. Because if he's close to an enemy and he doesn't have, normally he wouldn't then have time to put down his sniper rifle and then pull out his gun. So he would go for close quarters combat. And he trains. He would, I would say, after these 10 months, he would reach Aizawa's level of combat, close quarter combat. But that's enough. That's what he wants. That's the goal he sets for himself. Because he's somewhat seen videos of Aizawa, which was more hidden information than he realized. But he thought his close combat techniques were quite interesting and useful. So that's the level he would get at. Gotta take some drink sometimes. That's really nice. Now, he would actually encounter, while following this hero, he would stumble upon information on certain villains that's known in the underworld by listening in on Fox, and also what the hero talks about, how the interaction goes. So he picks up small cues, like he actually, not cues or anything, rather the hero he follows actually encounters a villain with a strength quirk that looks up to Muscular. So he sometimes spouts about how Muscular is stronger, that he wants to be as strong as Muscular and follows in his footsteps. And the hero wouldn't really know who Muscular is, but Deku would actually somewhat know. Because he's read the reports, like an old report about a villain nicknamed Muscular, or something like that, in that direction, who killed 2 water heroes. And this is quite important. This information is important because I'm planning, or rather me and this what if is actually gonna be... Oh, fuck. Okay. Technically, I should have explained this earlier, but this what if is gonna be a collaboration between my channel and Marshal. What if Marshal does what ifs? I'm gonna put a link in the description to his channel because he's planning on making a what if that's gonna be linked to my what if as a collaboration, a project we're doing, which you will find out soon enough which what if it is and how it's gonna go. And we thought it would be interesting, so look forward to it. So, oh shit, fuck. Snap. Fucking dropped my cigarette. That's not a good thing. Oh shit, it's still hot. Gonna fucking vacuum them afterwards. Great. Never mind. Let's get back. Hey, it's still on. Fuck. Well, so Deku he actually wanted to find out where this Muscular guy were, because he noticed it. He took an interest in it. Let's just say that, because rather as a sub interest, because at the moment he's currently following a hero that's somewhat corrupt, as I mentioned last one, and so he picks up this. He hears that the villain mentions Muscular, that he is actually somewhat part of his I would say in this one, this villain has encountered Muscular before and talked to him, so he knows a little more about Muscular, where he's that scene. And Deku would want to know where Muscular's location is, or the specific, maybe an area, but the hero is following isn't really asking such questions, so Deku wouldn't really get the info he wanted, or rather info on where Muscular might be now. And he's a little annoyed that he couldn't get that overheard such information, but he thinks, nah, it ain't really my problem, but it could have been useful. And then the fight would go like the hero wouldn't really be able to beat this villain, because this villain has a strength enhancing quirk, and he would get away. And Deku would think, oh, the hero let the villain get away again, without fucking saying some cheesy ass hero lines like, "You will never escape, villain, or I will fucking catch you again." Fucking cringy ass hero lines. Can't really fucking understand it. Like, it sounds cringy as fuck when you think about it. And that's what Deku somewhat also thinks. Like, it sounds cringy as fuck. Oh well, not my problem. That's another one. So Deku decides, maybe I should follow this villain, see where he goes. And Deku decides to, because he knows that the hero will likely, the hero's shift ends soon. And he's already gotten somewhat the kind of information he needs on the hero to expose him. So things, I'm gonna leave it to another day. I'm gonna wait a little while and then make this info public that I've gathered so far. So he begins to try and track down the villain. He is actually quite lucky, because he follows the alleyways as unsuspiciously as possible, trying not to be suspicious. And he finds him talking with actually some other thugs, and Deku thinks, after escaping a hero, he's already bragging about it to other villains or some thugs. How interesting, or would I say ironic or dumb? Because some heroes, they do brag about it to their friends that they've caught a villain and how they did it. And it's basically almost what this villain does. Like, it's just about how he escaped the hero. That he didn't really have a hard time against it, but he couldn't really overpower the hero enough so he could try and kill him. Which Izuku would just think, that's weird. Or rather, this is getting boring. He doesn't mention anything about Muscular. And then, luckily for Izuku, one of the thugs asks if he's seen, or rather if he's heard about Muscular's latest endeavor, or rather, latest feat or latest kill. And this villain would say he has heard about it, but it isn't really that known the area is known. Deku doesn't know this area yet, but he remembers where. And it isn't really an quite important location, but it's in the outskirts of the city somewhere. And Deku makes a mental note. Maybe I should try looking at that area in the future. I know that the hero that I'm currently tracking actually lives around there, so there might be a possibility of encountering him if I follow him maybe during his daily life, but I will have to wait for later. And then Deku heads home. When he gets home, he then tells his mom that, his mom asked him where he was. He just says, I'm just out taking a walk as I normally do. No, nothing bad's happening or anything. And I didn't cause anyone trouble or anything, so you don't have to worry, Mom. And Inku would then trust Izuku and say, okay. And she would ask Deku, would he like to eat dinner with her today? Which is something Deku hasn't really done in quite a while now. Maybe not in a month or two, because he usually stays in his room and eats. And thinks about stuff. And he says, but this time he says, well, I can join her. I am not too busy with my studies, because Deku studies a lot. Reads a lot. They're studying on heroes on the internet or reading books about quirks on quirk studies. And all this does, which he doesn't know yet, it actually increases his IQ, or rather intelligence quirk. It makes it more powerful. The more info, I don't know if I said before, but the more info he gathers and reads, the stronger it gets. So he's having a normal, what before would have been normal for Inko. And Deku, before he started with all this training and trailing hero and gathering info, he would normally, eat with his mom. Which he hasn't now after what all happened, he hadn't done in a while. So he thought for a change it would be good. So they're just eating together, having a little bit of small talk, how his day's been and what he's been up to lately. And he'll just say, well, I've just been studying, trying to maybe get into a good high school or something. Oh shit, what's that? Gonna have to check that out later. Oh, just a reader or something interesting. And after dinner, Deku then returns to his room. And it, technically for now, it's like his base of operations, with all the info he's gathered. And I decided for the name he will use in the underworld, it would be Deku, because he knows it has two meanings. It has a negative meaning, like you're nothing, uselessness, and a positive meaning that he can do anything. So he decides that now would be a good time to make the info public. So he starts sending out this information under the alias of Deku. His picture would be of a mask he would use a picture for himself, or rather, himself as a mask with a smiling face on it, with a smiley on it. Somewhat sinister smile. Just to get his name out there. And he then, he just has to wait after releasing this information. He even gave this information to UA, send it to UA through connections, and mentions what this hero has been doing and how he acts, and that is all that act that he really shouldn't have a hero license and be a hero. And let's say Nezu actually is the one is reading this, while Deku is decided to go to sleep for an hour. Well, Deku was reading Deku was reading some books right before he decided to go to bed. And we cut over to UA, where Nezu is actually just got the email. And we found it interesting because it's addressed to UA and to Nezu. And you would think, this is interesting. Oh, wait. The fuck? Ah, I saw it just made a Gran Torino, what if. Nice, gonna check that out later. Let's go back to the picture. Oh, by the way, I don't own this pic. It was sent to me by Marshal, and he doesn't know who drew it. It looks pretty cool, and it would fit Izuku's mind state as well. He would always try to smile, but it wouldn't really be a real smile for himself, so he made a mask with a smiley face on to represent a smile. Because he still thought of All Might with saving everyone with a smile, and he thought, great idea. That's the only good part that came out of that big muscle brain of an idiot, All Might. So, as well, we continue with Nezu's side, and you read it, and you would notice that everything is detailed, even how to, if this hero decides to go rogue after his hero license would probably be revoked, and he would be suspended from doing hero work, or just literally be thrown out and arrested, and how to arrest him and to handle his quirk. Nezu would actually take notice of this and think this is quite interesting, that this author, or this Deku fellow guy, seems to know a lot and has studied this hero a lot to get all this information on this hero. And he would think that at some point he would probably want to meet this one, because that Nezu did have suspicions about this particular hero, that he might be something, but he hadn't really been able to give it intel or had the time to do it. So he thinks maybe hiring this guy might be fun, might be interesting at some point. And so he thinks about it. That's what he thinks. And he decides next day he's gonna revoke this hero's hero license and get him maybe trialed and such. But he knows that it would take maybe a month or so. Or maybe a month or 3 to get it all done and figured out. But the suspension would be in immediate effect the next day. So wait 1 sec. Oh, that's done with just a sour writing to me about his Gran Torino one and what he plans on doing with the 3K special. And you probably all have probably already guessed what it is. And I fucking know it's gonna be hard for me. But let's get back on track. Deku, the next day, Izuku then looks up turns on the TV and sees about that the hero has been suspended for, and is currently and might be on trial for, or rather being sued, and is currently being sued for, not really sued, because the the things he's done isn't really too bad, but at the same time, the info they've released also says that he's been working for Yakuza, some folks, and sometimes actually paying them money, some cash, to fight him, as a mock fight, a staged fight, a rigged fight, where he would then let them go at the end, just before he could act as if he failed to catch them. And that's something during the months that Izuku at Watson had found out, and thought, oh, that's quite annoying, and this could get him in a lot of trouble. Let's see here, let's just get those with. There we go. So Izuku thinks, what should my next target be? Or should I follow him more? Let's see if he gets into trouble with the villains or something. And that's what he tries to do. He begins following him, and he decides to let him be for maybe a month or two. So because this will probably suspect that he had been followed around for a long time, and he would act very suspicious. Rather be suspicious around people and take more notice if someone's following him. And Deku knows that, so he decides during these two, giving him a break from him following him for 2 months. And during these 2 months, he decides to further hone his skills with firearms. Basically the sniper and the guns. And gets to a decent level. Of sniper rifle, he has actually somewhat mastered it. He can hit a target at around from a distance of about. He can accurately hit a target from a distance of 500 meters away and with some difficulty 700 to 800 meters away. It will make it more hard for him. He wouldn't be able to hit that target every time. So that's how his training's been. In school it's just normal, though sometimes when Bakugo is literally bullying him and such with explosions, Deku would, as he sometimes did in the past, which is something I will change, that Izuku would say, how can you become a hero when your quirk literally makes you a terrorist? And Baku, as in a flashback, Deku would say this, and kindergarten Bakugo would basically say a terrorist can still be a hero, and Deku would think, I wonder when he's gonna realize that a terrorist can't be a hero. In the flashback. He literally does it for a moment, and he mentions it again, tells Baku the same thing, and Baku would actually reply with almost the same line, like, I ain't a terrorist, I can still be a hero. I'm still gonna be a hero. And Deku would think, he still hasn't realized it yet. He must be really thick-headed or just dumb. Oh shit, there's gonna be I wonder if in the hero course if they're gonna do some demolition. I can just imagine it. Maybe he will realize it then. Maybe not. I wonder. Well, after school ends, he decides to go and look for find this hero that he got up, or rather got suspended, and also had his hero license revoked. Damn, my English sometimes sucks. No mind. I'll smoke real quick. 1 second, guys. So there we go. Nice, that's better. So, Deku decides to go look for him and see if he can follow him again. Because he's just curious to see, both curious about how the hero's doing, but also if Muscular might, rather the villain that he saw 2 months ago, and see how bad the situation is in that area around the city. So he goes there and finds this hero, and he follows him, and he notices he's not doing hero base anymore, but he's just casually walking around like as if nothing had ever happened. But Deku can see signs that he is depressed and sad, and Deku will think, that's what you get for trying to being a hero and only doing it for money and fame, not being a real hero. And he would just follow him for fun, but take more notice of the villains around, what they do, and see if this guy would actually react. And he finds out he ain't reacting, so Deku would just take notes on the villains that sometimes attacks, and at the moment he's only doing reconnaissance. He hasn't really done anything yet. He plans on doing something. He actually decides maybe it's time, while still watching the villains fight, he's like, maybe it's time to take action a little bit. So Deku would walk into an alleyway at somewhere and put on his mask that he had. This mask has a voice adjustment system that he got, which changed the voice to more like not radio sound, but more distorted. So it sounds like static, like electronic voice. And he goes out. Normally when he walks around, he just has a normal hoodie on. He doesn't look like this yet. And he actually had a gun with him, and he sees that the villains are still fighting some heroes, and Deku decides to hit up on a building. He actually had not hit up on a building, but more like get a little bit closer and hidden, and pulled out his gun, which had a silencer on it, and he discreetly took aim and fired it at a villain, at his legs. So, and it hit right on the villain's kneecaps, and gave him enough of a disadvantage for the hero to actually take him down. And the hero would notice the gunshot wound on the villain's legs, but would wonder, but couldn't see anyone who had fired a weapon, because Deku had already left, because he knew that this was enough for the hero to win. He decides to do this more often, or rather try and do a little bit of vigilante work for about a month. So now we are at the 8th month. And he's been around a lot. And taking out some villains, just, wounding them, but he has killed some villains. He hasn't met Stain yet, because Stain hasn't really hasn't really seen Deku yet, but Deku has he hasn't seen Stain yet, but he has been in contact with Stain, because Stain has sometimes asked Deku for information on certain heroes. Damn, it almost went out. But Stain has asked Deku on the website for info, if he could gather info for Stain, if Stain could have Deku gather some info for him on certain heroes. And Deku would think, why not? These heroes that he mentioned are some that I actually see that is actually pretty corrupt. So Deku would actually do this. During this month, he would work a little with Stain. They haven't been in contact like face to face yet. That will come later. But they have talked over the phone while Deku wears his mask and conceal his voice with the voice changer. But that's what he's been doing during the month time skip. Now, Deku is walking down the street during the night. It's nighttime, and Deku told his mom that he would just go on a night walk, get some fresh air to get his mind off all the studying he's doing, and she would agree to it. And Deku would go out with he would actually have a coat on, the one that's that's on his shoulders. That's the coat he would have on, jacket he would have on, and at some point he would put on his mask and go around. And he would try and look for villains or heroes to either scout, or not scout, but to get more information on heroes and villains. I would also mention that he has gotten more clues about Muscular's whereabouts, but not defining evidence on his whereabouts. Because he thought, it isn't my top priority at the moment, because he sees Muscular as a dangerous and somewhat unpredictable villain. And he knows that if he tries at the moment to follow him, it wouldn't end too great for him, because of Muscular's quirk. He has found out what the quirk was quite a time ago, which enhances muscles, that he can use muscles to enhance his strength. And he thinks it could probably stop a bullet or something, so he would have to get him off guard. But it's somewhat rare for Muscular to be off guard, not have his guard up, because he's always running from the police and stuff. And he's just thinking about it, like the recent intel he's gotten on Muscular, and he hears a scream, like someone yelling for help. He thinks it's some civilians getting attacked by a villain in the streets, in an alleyway, and he decides to walk in and see what's going on. To his surprise, it's actually villains getting beaten up by someone who Deku doesn't know who is. And that's where I'm gonna leave off. That's where we'll leave off on. You will this time we actually got like a real long video. Hope you will enjoy it. Yeah, I know it might suck a little, but I'm pretty new at it. What's gonna happen next? You will actually you will find out in one of on Marshal's what ifs video on his new what if that he's gonna make. And that's where the story will somewhat continue from here. Well, not continue from here, but it will pick up where I have left off. Somewhat not left off here, but first you would get some back info on this unknown character that Deku just has saw beating up the villains. Rather the fox. And you will get to see his Deku and this unknown character's interactions on a future video of Marshal does what ifs. So I will see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed the video.